If you want to go from good to being great, you got to fall in love with the process. And this kind of mindset requires a level of maturity, not to abort development and process, because a lot of people can only celebrate you when they see your value and what you bring to the table. But they don't know what you bring to the table comes from a vision that was incubated in the dark. There are certain things that you will never learn in the light. There are certain things that you'll never learn on the mountaintop. There are certain things that you only learn in the valley, in the mud, in the dark. And when you become comfortable with learning some things in the dark, God can do something dynamic through your life. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Transform You, where I believe if you can change your thinking, you can change your life. Whether you're listening by Apple Music or Spotify or watching us on YouTube, I'm humbled and honored that you would take out the time to listen. If anything that I say in this episode inspires you, motivates you, confirms some things for you, do me a favor and share it with somebody that you know would benefit from this conversation. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like it and please leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much. Well, it's been a minute since we did an episode, but I'm excited to be here because this, for the first time, I could say I'm excited to talk about what I'm about to talk to you about. So we are starting a new series. It's called Vision or No Vision, learning how to max out your potential. Listen, I don't know where you are. You're watching this, you're listening to this, lean in. This is really important. Everybody can do something great with their life, but it takes a special kind of person to max out the potential in their life. I'm going to say something that might seem a little obvious to you, but I need you to lean in so you can truly hear what I'm about to say. Everyone has potential, whether you're tall, short, skinny, wide, it really doesn't matter. Everyone that you have ever laid eyes on has potential. We all have potential, but here's the distinction that separates the good from the great. The great max out their potential. See, potential is just the beginning. It's the untapped well. It's the seed waiting to be cultivated. But having potential is not enough because everybody has it. Listen to this, y'all. Staying in the potential phase is where you simply acknowledge the possibilities, but you never take action. It's like holding the keys to the car, but never using the keys to open up the door. You are ineffective if you stay in potential phase. Your true power comes from taking the potential that you have and developing it intentionally and actively. In other words, taking the gifts, talents, and skills that God has given you and going through a process that makes what was raw powerful. It's about planting the seed, nurturing it, letting it take root, and grow through seasons of pruning and perseverance. See, you don't learn to be a master without seasons of rain, heat, germination. One of the things that we know about planting seeds is that before it grows high, it has to grow down. So many people want to skip the step of taking root in the ground. If you don't take root, you will not produce any fruit. That's all I'm saying. So why did you name this Vision or No Vision? Because without vision, potential remains dormant. Potential remains in the realm of possibility, locked away in the what could have been, what should have been, instead of in the reality of what is. This is why the development phase is the most skipped over phase, because so many people get excited that they hear that they have potential or they recognize that they have potential, but potential without vision never actually becomes self-actualized. This is the stage where you face your resistance, practice discipline, and take intentional steps that your potential is transformed into power. And power is developed through a process. The difference between those of us who settle for being good and those who become great lies in our vision and our commitment to growth. Potential is the spark. Vision, discipline, and action create the fire that leads to greatness. If you want to go from good to being great, you got to fall in love with the process. In other words, vision is in you, not on you. Vision comes from an internal conviction that refuses to lose because you've been through a process that has developed you in such a way that you won't quit before you get to said destination. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Vision is an internal conviction that come hell or high water, I'm going to stay in this process. Vision is an internal conviction that went through a process that created competence that led to confidence. See, your confidence comes from your competence. See, if you know how to do a thing, you're confident to complete a thing. But if you don't know how to do it, you won't be confident about what you're doing. In other words, vision is an internal reality. Vision is actually not an assignment. Vision is the thing that makes the assignment happen. Okay, I don't want to confuse you. I want to be clear with you. So I'm going to give you an example. Tom Brady is arguably one of the greatest athletes to ever live on the planet, right? Definitely one of the best football players that we've ever seen. 7 championships, multiple MVPs, a laundry list of achievements and accolades. But I want to suggest to you, the greatness you saw on the field was just an extension of what happened off the field. His ability to place and throw the ball in a spot before the receiver could even get there, knowing that the receiver would get there, is just an example of his life. See, Tom Brady was a third-string quarterback at Michigan. He was the 99th pick in the NFL draft in 2000. So what you saw Tom doing on the field is actually an extension of who he really is. See, a compelling vision is not just expressed in what we do, it's who we are. So what you saw Tom do on the field is actually an extension of who he is. Because you saw his confidence, but his competence was developed when he was the third-string quarterback on Michigan. His competence was developed when he was the 99th pick in the NFL draft. And let me tell you something. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's not a matter if your time is coming. It's a matter of, will you be prepared when your time is coming? And if you skip steps, you'll fumble the bag. That's all I'm saying. Because listen to this. The person who has potential that is lazy, they still get opportunities. Being lazy doesn't stop you from getting opportunities. Being lazy stops you from getting more opportunities. Not having that hunger, not having that desire. Because your first impression is your best impression. In other words, what are you really saying? A compelling vision is not just what I do, it's who you are. In other words, before you saw my value, I had a vision. And this kind of mindset requires a level of maturity and poise, not to abort or abandon development and process, because a lot of people can only celebrate you when they see your value and what you bring to the table. But they don't know what you bring to the table comes from a vision that was incubated in the dark. And I don't know who's listening, and I don't know who I'm talking to, but there are certain things that you will never learn in the light. There are certain things that you'll never learn on the mountaintop. There are certain things that you will never learn when you have the platform. There are certain things that you only learn in the valley, in the mud, in the dark. And when you become comfortable with learning some things in the dark, God can do something dynamic through your life. It's the pain, it's the sweat, it's the confusion, it's the frustration that brings about a revelation that what you went through qualifies you for divine elevation. Because when you learn in the dark, when you're exposed to the light, the spotlight won't change you. So listen, I only have about 2-3 minutes left because I can't get through all of this today. I'll do a part 2. The question is, how do you maximize your potential? Number 1 is you got to understand that potential is an acronym. What does P stand for? The P stands for problem solver. Okay. What does that mean? You have been created to solve problems. When you have vision, you're mature enough to understand this. Problems are better seen as challenges, because your perspective could either be your prison or your passport. Nietzsche said, to live is to suffer. To survive is to find the meaning in the suffering. What does that mean? Your vision is connected to your mindset and your perspective. The issue with being a problem solver is that others will often see your potential before you can see it. In other words, they see you before you see you. They see the version of you that you could be before you recognize what you're supposed to be. This is why who you're connected to is important. Because if the wrong person sees your potential, they won't fight you with physical warfare. They'll fight you with psychological and emotional warfare. What is psychological and emotional warfare? How do they use that? What does that tactic look like and sound like? They use their words against you. They gaslight you. They use certain words to make you second guess what God has given you. They'll say stuff like, I see you got that little business. I see you doing your little thing over there. And those words only come out of their mouth because they believe what they say is true. But it's only a reflection of what they believe about themselves, not about you. You catching strays and catching hell because they don't have any vision. See, people with vision can see what other people can't see. But if you're surrounded with people who can't see you the way that God created you to be, you'll need to distance yourself from them. See, the tendency of the person with no vision is to speak before they think. So they use their words to affirm their internal belief. But when you don't have vision, you don't know the truth, because people with little vision think everyone around them has little vision. People with small thinking can't see greatness because they don't believe greatness for themselves. Let's go spiritual, and then I'm wrapping up. There's a story in the Bible about a boy named Joseph. He has a dream. His brothers and his mother and father would be the stars, the sun, and the moon bowing to him. His brothers, when he told them the dream, they put him in a pit. They didn't put him in a pit because they didn't believe in a dream. They put him in the pit because they couldn't believe the dream for him. There are some people, they believe in dreams. They just don't believe it for you. And when you have a vision and you're convicted to the dream, it puts you in places and spaces that you couldn't even imagine. There are some people who don't have a problem with dreams. They just have a problem with your dream. And if you allow their non-vision self have a voice in your life, they will talk you out of, walk you out of, stop you, block you, and keep you out of the dream that God has given you. Listen, I can't deal with all of this, but hey, we'll deal with the next bit of this in our next conversation about vision or no vision, learning to maximize your potential. Peace. I love you.